Why is Torrance the epicenter of microbrewing in LA? Stay tuned to PCZ TV and find out the secret and tour some of the breweries.
PCZ TV.
Today's episode, Torrance's Micro. Oh my gosh, okay, before we get into it, just what is a microbrewery? A gastropub, a craft brewery. The most simplest description of the differences I could find is based on the production volume and having a kitchen or not.
Is it behind door number 1 or door number 2 or door number 3?
Microbrewery is a brewery that produces 15,000 barrels or less of beer a year. It doesn't have a kitchen, and they often invite food trucks to provide food services.
Door number 2.
A brew pub, or gastropub, is a hybrid between a restaurant and a brewery. It sells at least 25% of its beer on site and has food services, aka it has a kitchen. Now, brew pub versus gastropub. Well, near as I can tell, gastropubs implies better food than, say, a greasy bar burger.
Or door number 3.
And a craft brewery is, by definition, an independent brewery, aka not owned by a big corporation, but can produce a prodigious amount of beer, up to 6 million barrels a year. Wow, that sounds like a lot of beer, but not in comparison to the large-scale corporate-owned macro breweries. All right, so by these definitions, Torrance has a whole bunch of microbreweries and gastropubs. Now, I tried to get production volume for all these groups, but I couldn't find it. So I'm saying they are microbreweries, one and all. Now, but why all of these different types and categories of breweries? The short history lesson. In days of yore, there were pretty much just the big corporate breweries. Brands everyone knows if you watch any types of sports. In the 1970s, the real ale movement started as some folks got tired of all the homogenized corporate beer. Well, no surprise that they had to fight laws and regulations to allow craft, micro, and home brewing to once again be allowed. Now, the benefit of this movement was a craze towards smaller, local beer production of varieties that weren't being made by the big companies. This trend boomed pre-COVID with more and more folks opening breweries. Then, supply started to exceed demand. These microbreweries then fought for market differentiation. The rapid expansion was a situation that was ripe for market correction. So there are 3 root causes which resulted in a constriction of the business, in my opinion. The first was the gradual decline in the consumption of beer. Younger generations gravitated to hard seltzers or newly legalized marijuana. The second was the cost of goods. The inflationary pressure on the cost of goods put pressure on the already thin margins of many microbreweries. These costs couldn't just be passed on directly to the hipsters that frequent the facilities. And the final nail in a lot of these microbreweries' coffin was the economic shock of COVID. COVID killed many a brewery. Cut off from the consumers, they struggled to survive the vid.
And we're back!
So let's take a look at Torrance. Even with the post-vid constriction, Torrance still has around 10 or so microbreweries. The next logical question you have, dear viewers, is why Torrance? Was it due to the market demand of Torrance citizens for beer? Was it the amazing Torrance water? Was it something else in Torrance? The simple answer was, it was local government. Torrance was receptive to the business community and happy to stimulate jobs and the economy via microbreweries. The permitting process to open a tap room takes 8 to 12 weeks in Torrance. In dramatic contrast, the city of Los Angeles, it takes 8 to 12 months. And the process is much cheaper in Torrance, about $3,800 compared to Los Angeles at least $6,500. So Torrance never advertised itself as a craft beer destination, but brewers aren't stupid. They spread the word amongst themselves. Oh, what a surprise! LA proper is a blue hub of bureaucracy and paperwork. Now, also helping out with the lower rents in the Old Town area of Torrance. The city was looking to revitalize this area, and what could be better than bringing in new businesses and new consumers? Okay, totally makes sense, yeah?
And now for something completely different.
Right, let's just cut all of this business and get on with it.
Alright, enough of the chit-chat. Let's start drinking. We'll start the booze cruise of Torrance, and for the record, I had a designated driver, with just the gastropubs. I repeat, just the gastropubs. There are really just three, to be honest. There's Red Car, Hop Saint, and Project Barley. Now, the first microbrewery in Torrance, the OG, if you will, was from Bob and Lori Brandt at Red Car Brewery and Restaurant, which opened in 2000. Located in the heart of Old Town Torrance, their building occupies what was once the 1928 Pacific Telephone and Telegraph Building. This is the best-looking brew pub in the area, by far. Lori was involved in design before entering the beer business, and it shows. They kept the whole vibe of the old building, but really modernized the interior. An added bonus, it has its own parking lot. Now, because of when they launched, they were required to have a restaurant, and they have a traditional sit-down establishment and a bar. The food is outstanding. Now, I was chatting to Bob, and he mentioned to me that their pizza chef has been with them from the very beginning, and the pizza, the burgers, and the salads are fantastic. This is definitely a cool place to come. Oh, the beer? I almost forgot. Well, Bob focuses on an English-style beer. He doesn't go in for the trendy flavorings or beer du jour. It's just a good, solid product that's fresh, tasty, and local. And the name? Well, red cars were the mode of transport before the highway system took over the new city. Ironically, Red Car is just across the street from America Honda's headquarters. Now, the Red Car did run along this train line just outside the restaurant, but it was actually the Depot Restaurant, a high-end, high-priced establishment that was part of the Red Car system. Just across the street is Project Barley, or should I say Yorkshire Square, or... Okay, well, see, Yorkshire Square opened in April of 2017 with the goal of making authentic cask ale and serving it in a traditional pub atmosphere. And they focused on product differentiation via traditional English ales. Now, owner Gary Croft and original head brewer Andy Black won medals at the Great American Beer Festival, the California Beer Cup, and it was named one of the best new breweries by Beer Advocate. And this was only one of 2 California locations to earn the Cask Mark Certificate of Excellence. Well, why gastropub? Because, well, 2 years after opening, they launched the food component, serving up a chef-driven menu of traditional British food pub. Well, 2019. What happened in 2019?
It's the end of the world as we know it.
Now, they weathered the COVID storm, but barely. In December of 2022, the team at Project Barley, which was another local microbrewery, stepped in and took majority ownership of Yorkshire Square and obviously renamed it. The Croft family moved on to quote-unquote pursue new endeavors. The location is next to a body shop and also in front of Honda headquarters. Inside, it's a sort of stark chic. There's an outside area on the side of the building that's sort of like an alleyway. This is more of a hidden gem, I suppose, than the red car. Food-wise, the emphasis on English food sort of puttered out. Now, okay, stop the jokes about English food. By the way, it's quite good. But they simplified their menu, and a bunch of the old classics are gone. The beer, however, has stayed the same and is quite good. When in Rome, get the cask ale. Now, if you're not used to real ale cellar temperature, then this is a great experience for you. Try it. You'll soon start speaking with an English accent.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
Warning, it's cellar temperature, aka not frigid cold. Brace yourself if you're not used to it, but this is the way it was traditionally served and consumed in England.
I'm happy.
And finally, for gastropubs, we have Hop Saint. Now, this is all the way across town, just on the border with Redondo, and it opened in 2015. Now, in 1995, Steve Roberts opened the acclaimed Cafe Boogaloo in Hermosa. It was serving southern food, craft beer, and it played blues music. But apparently, he always wanted to be a brewer. So in 2009, he sold it and started planning Hop Saint as he ran another restaurant. He brought a lot of the decor from Cafe Boogaloo to the new endeavor with the image of blues players. And it sort of has a cool interior vibe going on with it. Big tables, benches as hard as a rock, and neat 60s sort of color palette. Now, Roberts himself hails from Louisiana, which is probably why their smoker makes some of the best barbecue in the South Bay. Now, I spent time living in Texas, so I know good barbecue. And this place has it. Now, the beer, his brewmaster is Brian Brewer. I'm not kidding. This is a perfect name. This is really his name. Now, they have created several award-winning beers. They feature a lot of seasonals, traditional German styles, and of course, the requisite IPAs. But aside from their own beers, they also have a lot of rotating brands here, so you have a lot of variety to choose from. And so ends part one. Each of these three gastropubs have very different beers and very different food. Have you been to any? Which do you prefer? Let me know in the comments below. Part 2 will be a visit to all the microbreweries bereft of a kitchen. If you've been watching this far, I thank you. Bye!